Hello and welcome to the Monday evening.
Love ball like I do. After Dark, it's a must listen.
It's where I go to get my hoops fixed.
This is Field of 68 After Dark.
Welcome to the Field of 68 After Dark on this Tuesday night. I'm John Fanta. We got Jeff Goodman. We got Tyler Hansbrough. We got a loaded night of college basketball to break down. We have our Feeling the 68 show every Monday and Friday night. It gives you the latest you need to know. And as we get closer to Selection Sunday, these guys are going to have updates by the hour when we get all the way down to it. So, Jeff, let's open up the show. Tyler, I'm going to get your thoughts on this too, because you talk about bubble teams. You talk about moving the needle wins. There are several of them. There is one that comes to your mind tonight in the Southeastern Conference. Who may have saved their season and who may have saved his job this evening? Go ahead.
Yeah, Rodney Terry and the Texas Longhorns. It was ugly. It looked like they were giving away the game a couple, more than a couple times. But ultimately, Texas goes into Stark Vegas, gets a huge win against Chris Jans and Mississippi State, makes enough plays down the stretch. Trey Johnson, man, he is electric, and he got some help tonight from Tremont Marks. There was a young guy and the vet, and they combined for 47 points, and they end up kind of, coming back with an ugly win, but a win that puts them right back on the bubble because it's a quad one win. And that's exactly what the doctor ordered for the Texas Longhorns, heading into, the final game of SEC and then obviously the SEC tournament in Nashville next week.
Tyler, I'm not going to ask you first about the meaning of the win. Here's what I want to know, right? When the calendar flips to March, look, you're an All-American. You're an all-time great in college hoops. When the calendar flipped to March, how did you shift up to your highest gear, and how did you stay under control?
Well, for me, whenever March came around, I always approached it as, listen, you've already done most of your work. A lot of the teams that I've been involved with, we had already built our resume. And, for me, when it comes March time, I'm not really trying to work myself. I'm trying to find ways to catch my rest and prepare for the tournament. And I've never been a big fan of conference tournaments because of that reason. I think if you make a deep run in conference tournaments, it's almost impossible to walk into the NCAA tournament 4 days later or a week later and actually be at full strength. So I'm trying to find ways to stay on top of my game, how I can sharpen my game, get my reps up, but still make sure that I'm getting my rest. So whenever I do take the court, I'm at 100%.
But you never really calmed down. You're Psycho T, man.
Fanta, you know what? I wasn't a robot. The preparation I did, it was caused a lot of – it wasn't good for my mentals. I had a routine. I was superstitious. All that stuff weighed on me. And I will tell you this. Whenever I went to China, I didn't have the access to all the things that I did in the States. And that's when I just went out there and started hooping. And I was playing well. I knew it was all BS and it was all mental, all this stuff I was putting in, all these superstitions I had. So
what were they? Wait. What was your most whacked out superstition, Tyler, looking back on it now?
Man, I had a long routine. So I had to eat the same thing every single game day. I had no candy, no nothing. It depended on I had oatmeal for breakfast. I would have a light lunch. I'd have salmon right before the game for dinner with a little broccoli. Then I couldn't sign autographs or take pictures before the game because one game I did, we got blasted. And then walking out to
So you were an
warm up,
asshole. So you were an asshole to every fan before the game, is what you're saying.
I was a complete asshole. I didn't care who you were. And listen, and here's the worst part is I had to be the last guy out of the tunnel. I couldn't wear my warm up. I had to make 2 free throws before the game started in a row. And no high fives.
No high fives? None.
I didn't like it. Didn't like it.
If Bobby Frazier tried to high five you, no chance.
Frazier was superstitious as well. So, no, I would give high fives, but I did not like that. I don't know what it was. There was superstition. I think I'd high-fived everybody before a game, and we didn't play as well. So somehow I blamed it on that. But, yeah, those are just Fanta. Listen, it was ridiculous, all the things that I did, and I hated it.
Let's amazing on so many levels. By the way, Jeff is pictured in front tonight of his oven. Do you think Jeff can cook, Tyler?
I'm curious to see how much usage that oven has gotten from Jeff.
Zero. Absolutely zero. We got here yesterday, but that oven, I promise you, over the next month that we're here, will get absolutely no use from me and minimal from my wife. Minimal.
Well, let's get back to Texas. Look, Tyler, you know this time of year. I mean, Trey Johnson is a top 5-ish NBA draft prospect. He's hovering around top 5 to 7. He steps up with 23 points. That's nothing new. Tremont Mark, before I get back to Jeff on this game, what it could do for Texas, it's a quad 1 win. It comes on the road. You find a way in overtime. Tyler, when you think about Texas getting this done, what comes to mind?
In my mind, it's a quality win, but also it's on the road. I think you have to take that in consideration. And the morale of this team, for them to get this win at this point in the year, especially after some criticism, from their coach, all the speculation, did we hire the right guy? The team stayed within the locker room, and they really, listened to themselves. They didn't give in, and they went on the road and got a great quality win when they needed one to build the resume, to kind of put something forth to the committee that, make a case to get into the tournament.
Jeff, stick with Rodney Terry here. I mean, the pressure at Texas is always on, no matter who's the head coach. But this season, you're at 6-10. You're 5-11 in your league. You're staring at darkness here. They had to win this game to stay with a pulse. They did find a way. The one thing they do have, Jeff, they play a lot of iso ball. They've got different dudes who can have that kind of night, and we saw that tonight from Mark and Johnson.
Yeah, it was less ball screen offense for them, and just more like letting those guys cook, and they can. I mean, that's the best thing Trey Johnson does, right? Give him the ball, clear out, and let him go to work. And when he does that, he had 39 a couple nights ago. He follows it up with another big game. There's very few guys that can stay in front of Trey Johnson, and that's probably Rodney Terry's best offense. Honestly, he's just kind of giving the ball to Trey Johnson and letting him go rather than trying to run ball screen or anything else with that team. But, I think it's probably a little bit too late for Texas at the end of the day. Now, again, if they win their final regular season game and win the SEC tournament, yeah, maybe they can go to a little bit of a run here. But I think at this point, I think Texas is still on the wrong side of the bubble to me, still, even after this quad 1 win. And I think Rodney Terry he probably needs to get to the tournament, NCAA tournament, and win at least one, maybe get to the second weekend to save his job at this point.
Jeff, let's go quickly around the country elsewhere. We got Ohio State and Nebraska. They are going to overtime. We'll keep you updated on that one. We have a lot of games in action right now. Our first 4 out on Feeling the 68, again, every Monday and Friday on our platforms. Arkansas, who right now has a halftime lead on Vanderbilt. We're monitoring that. Oklahoma, who is in action tomorrow night when they host Missouri. Wake Forest, who got blown out by Duke. Jeff, I think Wake Forest is going to be missing the NCAA tournament if you ask me right now. And North Carolina. Carolina wins tonight. They beat Virginia Tech 91-59. You know, we're updating all things on these bubble teams. Jeff, what's your thoughts? And then Tyler, your thoughts here. Heading into Saturday, they're on a winning streak. That's the game. I mean, they get the benefit of that on national TV. They're going to get Duke and have an opportunity in their building to move the needle.
Yeah, I mean, they got to win that one. They got to win that game. You know, beating Virginia Tech is again, it's not losing to Virginia Tech was the key here, right? You can't afford a loss. And you blew them out, so that's going to certainly help the metrics. Look at this. We have a late addition to the show tonight. Matthew McCall is joining us. This is just like a spur-of-the-moment type thing, Matt?
Would never miss it. Would never miss it. Never miss it.
You missed Tyler,
Come on.
but you did miss Tyler and all his crazy, weird quirks before his games. But we'll fill you in that later.
Yeah, please do.
No, listen, Carolina, to me, again, this didn't do anything for me. All it did really was show me that they could put their foot on the pedal and blow out a very, very subpar Virginia Tech team when they needed to. And again, that will help their efficiency numbers a little bit in the net. I know Tyler will be looking. He'll wake up early tomorrow morning just to check out the net and see where Carolina moved up to after this huge win. But, you know, again, they got to win the game against Duke or go very, very deep in the ACC tournament, probably to the title game, and end up beating a Louisville or a Clemson in the process.
Coach, life on the bubble, like at this time of year, we're talking every night. I mean, Carolina wins. They got the ACC, Coach McCall, just doesn't have the opportunities. It's hard to believe I'm saying those words, but it's the truth. Now they're going to get Duke over the weekend. But we just talked about, like, Texas is fighting for their life. They beat Mississippi State tonight. Well, what's your take on what's happening in these locker rooms right now at this stage of the year while we're waiting for all these other crucial results to go final? Life on the bubble, how is a coach when there's this much pressure, how do you describe it? How do you handle it?
I mean, first of all, I think it's putting more pressure on the committee, right? Like, who are they putting in, who are they not putting in? And for a team like I've said this before, I'm the biggest fan of, look, if you're playing your best basketball and you're trending in the right direction and you're not a team that's coming down the stretch that's on the bubble that's losing 4 out of 5 or on the bubble that's losing 3 out of 6 or whatever it may be, North Carolina is doing what they're supposed to do. Like, they're doing what they're supposed to do. They're winning games. They're winning the games that they're supposed to win coming down the stretch. Now, if they play against Duke this weekend and they lose by 20 points, maybe they're not a team that belongs in the NCAA tournament, but they've won the games that they're supposed to win. You know, Texas today, you know, being able to knock off a top 25 ranked Mississippi State team who's a good team that's proven that they're an NCAA tournament team, that was big. That was huge. That kept their hopes alive. But more of a fan of the teams that are like, okay, like Carolina, here they are. They've won 6 in a row. Now they've got Duke coming up this weekend. Are they a team that belongs in the NCAA tournament? They've won the games they're supposed to win. They sure are looking like it. We'll see what happens this weekend.
I'm sorry. Milan Momcilovic just hit a game-tying 3 to even it up at 66 in Ames with 30 seconds to go. BYU's got the basketball here. This is all part of a couple of thrilling finishes as we go down the stretch. The Cougars just call a timeout. That's going down the wire. Tyler, can they upset Duke on Saturday in Chapel Hill? Can it actually happen, man?
I've seen crazier things happen. And listen, you know, it's first of all, I want to say that this is a different team that Duke saw in Cameron. We've switched our lineup. We've moved Drake Powell to his natural position, which is the wing. Jalen Withers has been playing very well for us recently, providing us a lot of different scoring options. And Lubin has found chemistry, and he's been playing well at that big spot. So that we don't have, we're not trying to find a lineup anymore. We found our lineup, and if you look at our rebounding margins within this 6-game winning streak that we're on right now, we've dominated the glass. If you look at Drake Powell's plus-minus, it's absurd. We're a different team, and our half-court sets are actually getting better. You're seeing better ball movement. You're seeing guys move without the ball, and there's great chemistry with Lubin and RJ on the high pick and roll. And we're taking better quality shots. We are not the same team. We're trying to clean up our turnovers a little bit. That's still a problem, unforced turnovers. But I think what we can't do is we can't start the game and put ourselves in a 38-point hole. We can't get down 38 to Duke and expect to win. We got to come out and we've got to start the game with energy, and we got to bring it to them. And we can't, make it harder on ourselves and make careless turnovers. And we'll see what happens. Anything can happen in rivalry games. I don't think that Duke's so good that we can't beat them. I do think they're young, regardless of how well they play and how young they are. They are young. They've shown tendencies to make mistakes late in games when it comes down to one possession or two possession game. We've seen how that goes. Kentucky's pulled it out when it was close. Kansas pulled it out when it was close. And Clemson pulled it out when it was close. So I think if we keep it close and the crowd's in it, rivalry game, one or two possession game late, maybe RJ goes off and has one of those electric games and reminds everybody who he is. So, yeah.
Come on, Goodman.
It's possible.
Come on, Goodman. Get on the wagon, Goodman. Get on the wagon.
I mean, listen, I hear what Tyler's saying. They are better than they were, but there's still a significant gap there. And I think Tyler's boy in Jackson's gotta bring it. He was good tonight. He's got to go. Between those two guys, they got to go for 50 points between RJ and Ian Jackson for them to beat Duke. And they need production. Again, they got to be tough on the glass. They need some production from those front court guys. But those guards have to be better than Duke's guards. They have to be. They have to win that battle and win it significantly because they're not winning up front. So, yeah, I mean, if they could play them close, I think that would be a positive going into the ACC tournament. And again, if you get the right road, maybe you can make some headway there. I just think, again, Duke's playing for something beyond even the rivalry. They're playing for an ACC title.
We got a bubble result just out in Eugene. Oregon 73, Indiana 64. Hoosiers dropped to 18-12. It's an Indiana team starting a critical week because next they're home to Ohio State on Saturday. Our feeling, the 68 crew has them not in the last four in, just ahead of that as an 11th seed. McCall, Oregon, they come away a winner, for the Ducks. They appear to be picking up some steam here down the stretch, but let's talk about Indiana. They're living that life on the bubble. They hit 9 threes, couple of costly turnovers late. They fall just short. And, on this night, Mackenzie Mbako goes 2-10. Malik Renew goes 4 for 12. Luke Goody goes 2 for 6. Coach McCall, for Mike Woodson and the Hoosiers, this is a defining week, and they come up short despite a fight in Eugene.
Yeah, for me, though, this was the game. It's like, okay, can they go out there and they compete? If they get the split on the West Coast, can they get the split? And that's what they did. And I know Washington's not very good. I think Danny Sprinkle is going to flip it around there, for Washington. But can they go out there and get the split? This game, they competed, even though they didn't score very many points in the basketball game. But can they turn around this weekend and beat Ohio State? If they can turn around and beat Ohio State at home with wins over Michigan State and Purdue, they were trending in the right way, then I think they're an NCAA tournament team. I think they need to be in. Now, if they go home and they lose to Ohio State, it's a wrap. It's 100% a wrap. But to me, the destiny's in their hands. Now, they can't lay an egg in the Big Ten tournament at all. But if they beat Ohio State this weekend coming up, I think they're an NCAA tournament team.
Goodman.
Which they should do. They should beat them at home. I mean, Ohio State's down here in overtime at home in Nebraska, which I think puts the Buckeyes on far off the bubble from what they need to be at this point. I mean, they're not even close in my opinion at this point. But Indiana, like McCall said, they could afford to lose this one. This wasn't the one they had to win. They had to beat Washington on the road, and then they had to beat Ohio State at home, and then win one Big Ten tournament game. And I think they're in good shape. They'll get in. probably, might be in Dayton, but I think they'll get in the tournament, where Mike Woodson was a month ago. It's actually kind of amazing what they've been able to do to get in this position.
Tyler, do you think Mike Woodson, that this whole thing has been treated the right way? Of basically him, this is his last season at the helm. There's going to be a coaching change. I never asked you, what did you make of this whole thing?
You know what? If you're a head coach at a blue blood, and everyone, whether Indiana's a blue blood or not, they have a huge following and they have a big time basketball program. And listen, they have standards.
Wait a minute. Stop. Hold on. Are they a blue blood or not?
I have not seen Indiana in my lifetime be a contender. So maybe to somebody a little bit older than me. Maybe to somebody older than me that grew up watching Bobby Knight. Yeah.
Hey, I'm older than you, and I'm going to say they're not a blue blood.
Yeah, and it is what it is. But regardless of, once having blue blood status, now they don't. I agree with Goodman. When you have a following like that and you don't meet standards, your coach is going to get criticized. I don't care. I don't know why people think that these coaches at these big-time universities, if they're losing games, just expect the media to talk polite about them and nice. No, you lose these games, your fan base is upset, and that's part of the job. Get over it. Don't listen to us. And, it's not about what we say. We're just out here reporting what we see and what our thoughts are. But the Mike Woodson situation, do I think it was handled right? I don't know. I mean, is Indiana basketball, is this where they want to be under him? Probably not. So they're going to go in a different direction. It's not criticizing Mike Woodson. I think he's a great guy. He's had a lot of success in the NBA. I hate that I even have to say that after, saying that he probably hasn't met the expectations that they had with him coming in there. But, with that said, Indiana has a net ranking of 55, while my Tar Heels have a net ranking of 42. So just want to say
Love that net. Nobody loves the net more than Tyler.
I'm a big net guy.
We're going to take a break. Up next, the number one team in the country is about to go down in College Station. Do we overreact? Or is this just, hey, they wrapped up a regular season title and it was a road trip down to a really good team? Plus, BYU and Iowa State, they're in overtime. Ohio State and Nebraska, they're in overtime. If you're wondering, segment A, they didn't get to a lot of games. It's because we're waiting for some dramatic finishes. This is After Dark.
If you haven't heard by now, we have partnered with BetMGM for the season. We'll be using BetMGM lines to make all of our picks, and we'll have special offers for the listeners and the viewers of the Field of 68. Bet insurance tokens, odds boosts, and what I love, a nice parlay boost or two here or there. Be sure to keep your eye out in the app for the Field of 68 specials that we'll be running throughout the season as well. So go download the BetMGM app to sign up today. College basketball fans, are you ready to take your hoops game to a new level? Whether you're a seasoned bettor or just trying to win your March Madness office pool, Rhythm is here to give you the edge this season. With data-driven predictions for every single college basketball game left on the schedule, Rhythm helps you maximize your bets. And as March Madness kicks off, Rhythm's insights will help you spot those plucky Cinderellas that you know are going to shake up the NCAA tournament. But that's not all. When Selection Sunday rolls around, let Rhythm's AI-powered bracket generator do the heavy lifting for you. This is the same AI tool that performed 35% better than the average ESPN bracket last year. And here's the best part. Rhythm pairs perfectly with our Field of 68 expert analysis, giving you the 1-2 punch that you need for the rest of the college basketball season. So don't wait. Download Rhythm today and get ready to see college basketball and your betting results in a whole new light.
Buzz Williams and Bruce Pearl just met at center court because it looks like we may be getting a storming down at College Station. Number one Auburn is about to drop a game for just the third time this entire season at 83-72 final seconds. This is final. The Texas A&M Aggies, who had really been struggling. I mean, this is a team that had lost 4 straight, and things did not look good. Auburn, it looks like it's going to get their team out of the way. What a win.
Gotta wait 90 seconds. Wait 90 seconds. Don't rush the court for 90 seconds.
Yep, we're going to watch this in real time here as the final
That's
seconds.
the rule.
Buzz Williams is asking his students to stay off the court, and they're going to wait, as we said, in time.
Wait 90 seconds. As long as you wait 90 seconds, you don't get fined. As long as you wait 90
McCall,
seconds.
Do you like this? Do you like this rule, McCall?
I like protecting the players and making sure nobody gets hurt. I like that. The fact that as long as you wait a minute and a half, nobody's going to get fined. I think you had to do something just to protect everybody to make sure nobody gets hurt. And the fact that people respect it and wait those 90 seconds. Georgia did it last week against Florida. They waited their 90 seconds and then they rushed the floor. And it looks like this is what we're going to get the same game.
Tyler, did you ever get trampled on? Did you ever want to just look at a student and be like, I can't deal with this tonight?
Yeah, I still deal with that trauma today, Fanta. I'm going to counseling for it. No, I never got you know what? I never even got close to getting hurt my whole time. I've been involved with many court stormings. And you know what? If you're a team and they court storm, it should be a good thing because that means you're a really good team. Never had an issue with it. Georgia Tech, some little student bumped me on the way to the court to celebrate their team's victory. And you know what? I kept walking and he kept going. There was no issues ever. And
But think about it. Wait, Tyler, who the hell was going to mess with you? I mean, legitimately, I get it. Like Kyle Filipowski, he's not all that intimidating. But, if somebody's going to mess with you and go after you, they're probably scared you're going to throw a haymaker back at them, too. They're probably smart enough to understand the consequences of their actions.
Well, listen, Jeff, I'm smart enough to know that if I were to throw a haymaker, I would get in trouble probably as well. And, Coach Williams would have something to say about that. But, it was just, I don't think these kids are coming on the court to hurt the other team's players. They're coming on the court to celebrate victories. And it's part of what makes college basketball so great is the fan base, their passion, and their excitement. And, it's the students that are rushing these courts. It's not, anybody else. It's just the students, in my opinion. So I just hate the fact that we take that away from them and kind of what makes college sports. Ever since I was a kid growing up, I remember watching all these teams, the court stormings, and I just think they're all great memories.
Jeff, let's get into this here. Is this more about Auburn coming off a regular season title win, and so there's just not as much incentive to play this game versus an A&M team that was desperate to get off the schneid and could fall out of the top 16 in the bracket? Is that what this is? Is there anything more to make of it?
So I think there's a few things, but when I was down there last week, all they were talking about was clinching, winning the SEC regular season title. So I think it was a little bit, okay, we did that. We accomplished our goal. Not that they didn't have something to play for now, but, let's face it, even if they lose a game or two here, they're still going to be the overall number 1 seed. They've been dominant, from start to finish in the best league in America. I think there's a couple other factors. Number one, Texas A&M has 9 seniors, and it was senior night. So those guys were revved up. Number two, Auburn was without Dylan Jones, right? Dylan.
Yep.
Why am I forgetting his name right now? Dylan Jones.
Denver Jones.
He's hurt.
I was tired. Goodman, come on, man. What are you talking about?
I know.
Denver Jones.
It's been a long few days. So without him, you're losing your best perimeter defender. And what do you need more than anything against the combination of Wade Taylor and Zurich Phelps? You need guys that can guard on the perimeter. He would have been on whichever one was heating up at that time. Neither one were awesome tonight, but they still combined for 35 points. And, Auburn, let's face it. I mean, Janai didn't have he had another kind of average game for him. Pettiford was really good, but defensively, again, they gave up 83 points to a Texas A&M team that, frankly, has two guys who can score.
McCall, where do you stand on this result?
Yeah, I think Fanta is a quick turnaround from what happened in Rupp Arena the other day, too. I've never seen a coach celebrate the way the Coach Pearl celebrated in Rupp Arena, jumping up and down, not in the locker room, out on the floor. And that's what he did. And they won the SEC, and to turn around and have to play this game against a team that was desperate. Texas A&M was desperate. They're desperate to turn, their season around with how it was going. Not that they were a bubble team by any means, but they were desperate, and they played that way in this game. And Auburn played like a team that clinched the regular season the other day. They celebrated, and they continued to celebrate on Sunday, and then continued to celebrate on Monday, and had to turn around and play today. Like, if you play on Wednesday, that Sunday day is an off day to be able to catch your breath. You have to come back down after playing on Saturday, whether you win or lose, and get back to work on Sunday. And today, that team, to me, just looked like a team that was still celebrating their win over the week. They clinched the league. It was another piece of it, too, was just, hey, like, this team is human. We've been talking, or I was talking earlier on Sirius XM today, like, is this Auburn and Duke team, are these two teams looking more like last season where it was UConn, Purdue, and everybody else? Is that what we're trending towards this season? No, today was a day that said, you know what, there is parity in college basketball. We could see, anyone within reach of the top 25 right now cut the nets down in San Antonio and win a national championship. That, to me, is what proved today. And also an Auburn team that, hey, man, Saturday is over with. They celebrated Saturday. They had a great time on Saturday, and they looked like they were still celebrating from Saturday.
Tyler, I'm going to ask you a hard question, but that's why we pay you. Why we pay you the big bucks, man. Come on. You're on this show for a reason. If I told you I'm going to give you $1,000 to put on at BetMGM, our proud partners at BetMGM, and you have to pick one team to place the wager on to win it all, you get to ride Auburn or you get to ride Duke.
Oh, we all know where this one's going.
No, you never know. Tyler's been pretty positive about the Blue Devils this year.
I can't pick Alabama. But I've been on Alabama.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm not going to. No, I'm not just. I'm not going to pick Alabama, but I do think that they deserve to be. They're a team that needs to be in that discussion as well. In my opinion, they have a high ceiling. But no, I would place it on Duke. I think Duke. I think their length, athleticism. They have the highest ceiling to me, and after seeing them in person and what they can do and their defensive pressure, I think it's overwhelming, and I think they have different guys, role players that step in with the young guys and play their role really well. And the Gillis kid, the transfer from Purdue, he's playing well for Duke, but Duke to me is just right now, and also they beat Auburn as well earlier on.
Look, I actually would agree with you. I would go with Duke. I would say this, by the way, BYU and Iowa State are now going to double overtime. So we will wait on that. The not very good execution down the stretch in that game. You do have to give Texas A&M credit. They toughened up tonight. McCall, you know this. You could have nerves when you've lost 4 in a row and you have number one. It's the first time the Aggies have ever beaten a number one team. Wade Taylor, did he shoot the ball great? Nobody drove the team. He led them. He had 16 points in this game. They had 5 in double figures. Zurich Phelps steps up with 19. This A&M team, McCall, if they can knock down some perimeter shots, it changes everything because they're going to guard. They could put you in the meat grinder defensively and really make you work for everything you're going to get. And Auburn still shot 50%. Like, make no mistake about it. Auburn shot the basketball well. They turned the ball over an uncharacteristic 13 times. But I do think, McCall, whoever has to see A&M, early in the tournament, if you haven't simulated that, how do you in practice? Like, they play a way that's just, it's football.
Yeah, I mean, it's guard you, it's physical, it's pick you up. It's Wade Taylor, who was SEC preseason player of the year last year. And let's think about this too. on this 4-game losing streak, they lose at Mississippi State, who is a really good team. They lose to Tennessee, and we've seen what Tennessee's been able to do. They lose on a one-possession game to Vanderbilt, who I think Mark Byington needs to be in the case for SEC Coach of the Year with what he's doing. And then they get blown out at Florida on College game day. So it's like these losses weren't the teams that you're like scratching your head and saying, oh my gosh, like what's wrong with this team? It's one of those things when you get into February and your team goes through a sense of urgency or a level of adversity. How do you respond? How do you come out of it? And today, to knock off the number one team in the country, it's like, if this team's a 6 seed, if they're a 5 seed, and you see them in the second round, this team has a legit chance to get to the Sweet 16, much like his teams did when he was at Marquette. Getting to the Sweet 16, that's what Buzz Williams' teams seem to do. And look, this team is scary good. Wade Taylor was preseason SEC Player of the Year last year, and he's still in college, and they're still going to defend at a high level. So, I'm not shocked by any means on the result of this game. Not at all.
No. Can I just say something? If you wait for Selection Sunday to follow this sport, the four of us will pray for you. You're doing it all wrong, which if you're watching the show, you surely are following all the time. But send this to your friends. Don't wait until the bracket gets released to follow this sport. We have multiple double overtime games. The number one team in the country just lost. We've got some coaches honestly fighting for everything right now. Some programs that are trying to make their case. Like, Jeff, this to me, before we go to break, this time of the year gets underappreciated because when we get to the Field of 68, it's great. No question about it. But you're missing out. If you're tonight, it's bonkers.
No, tonight it was the bubble night. One of the greatest bubble nights of all time tonight in terms of everywhere you're looking right now, right? Baylor, we haven't talked about Baylor. We'll talk about them later on right now.
Go
Arkansas is winning. Baylor ends up with a win in which really they were kind of handed a win at TCU that they had to have. In our fielding fielding the bracket show.
Fielding the 68,
Fielding the 68, sorry. I'm looking to see what they are right now. I think they're a 10 seed.
He is tired.
I am tired. We bought a house yesterday. I'm worn down. I'm mentally worn down from yesterday. Okay, we bought a house, and we're still not sure we want to, live in Charleston. No, we know we want to live here.
No, come on back down here. Come on back down here.
Now that McCall's gone, now that McCall left Charleston, we're okay here. We're okay.
Congratulations, Tyler. Would you ever live with Jeff?
I probably wouldn't. I would live close to Jeff. Yeah, he'd be a great neighbor.
He asked if you'd live with
neighbor.
me, Tyler. Tyler, I'd pick up the trash for you.
He said, probably live close to him.
Maybe we come to some terms. I don't know. I don't know, Jeff. I'm not a roommate guy. I'm as clean as they go.
Are you clean or no?
I'm not worried about my cleanliness. I'm worried, I don't know. Are you clean?
Yes, I'm very clean.
All right.
I'm very clean.
All right, let's get back to it. Baylor, Scott Drew is in danger of missing out on the first NCAA tournament in 6 years. They won the title, obviously, a few years ago. They haven't gotten deep in the tournament. They haven't gotten the second weekend besides that. Spent a lot of money this year. Jeremy Roach brought in one of the best freshmen in the country in VJ Edgecombe. Also brought in Norchad Amir. It hasn't been great this year. It has not been great in Waco. But this win over TCU, I think, gives Scott Drew a sixth straight NCAA tournament. And really, if they sneak in as a 10 seed and somehow get to the Sweet 16, that's almost going to go further than what they've done over the last few years, which is have better regular seasons but get knocked out in the round of 32. So we'll see what happens. I don't have a lot of confidence in them. But what I will say is, again, they've got one of the better bigs in the country. They've got one of the best freshmen in the country and a hell of a coach in Scott Drew.
Look, they found a way. They've been a disappointment on the season, but Omer stepped up. He showed his NCAA Tournament Final Four experience. Ohio State and Nebraska are in double overtime. It's 104 to 103. I don't want to proclaim definitives, but it feels like the loser of this game, it's a backbreaker when you expend this much energy on a game like this. And Ohio State, Bruce Thornton just hit a 3 to go up 4. So this is what an absurd night of college basketball in a variety of ways. In double overtime, BYU and Iowa State right now. I mean, there's so much happening. Georgia took care of business at South Carolina, but bears noting that. I mean, Jeff, that's a big storyline here. Mike White at Georgia has put together a remarkable late surge.
Yeah, especially after a terrible middle of the season. Ever since I saw them beat Kentucky, they went through this really rough stretch, and they've give them credit because the SEC is a gauntlet. When you go through that type of streak and you find a way to get through that. And I think they've got some real high character guys on that team. I think they've got some mentally tough players. And that's kind of what I saw when I was down there in Athens, and fighting back like that. Very impressive. And it would be huge for Mike White to get Georgia back in the NCAA tournament this year.
All right, let's break. We'll come back and we'll get to a bunch of these dramatic finishes here that are in double overtime. Tell you what it all means. I'm going to ask the guys as well, who's their National Player of the Year? I want to make them answer that question. It is one of the toughest races to figure out. We're going to talk about it next.
Would you be surprised to find out that the Field of 68 is home to more than 35 podcasts? More than 25 team-specific podcasts that are hosted by the people that know what fans want the most. The Goodman and Humble podcast, the DTF podcast, the A10 Insider podcast, and the Mountain West podcast. But wait, there's even more. The Field of 68 will be launching the ACC Insider podcast this year. Subscribe to this channel and come along for the ride. If you haven't heard by now, we have partnered with BetMGM for the season. We'll be using BetMGM lines to make all of our picks, and we'll have special offers for the listeners and the viewers. Download the BetMGM app and sign up using the bonus code FIELD. Deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game, and you'll receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets. Go download the BetMGM app and use the code FIELD today.
We got a bunch of games that are about to finish. Matt McCall, Jeff Goodman, Tyler Hansbrough, John Fanta. So before these games finish, I want to get right out of this break with this question. Tyler Hansbrough, Cooper Flagg or Janai Broome? Who's the National Player of the Year in Tyler Hansbrough's book?
Cooper Flagg. And, Janai Broome's had a good year. He's been hurt, though, and also Duke had beat them early on. And I just think that Cooper does so many more things for Duke. And this isn't a knock on Janai Broome. To me, it's Cooper Flagg.
Jeff?
So Hummel and I had this conversation last night. And I started the year with Janai. Then when Janai got hurt, went Cooper. Then kind of flipped back a little bit. I think Janai closed the gap. Hasn't been great the last two games. But I'm still at the point I would give him and this is so against everything I believe in. Because I'm not vanilla. You guys know that. Like, I'm going to make a pick. But I just think neither of these guys deserves not to win the award. That's my biggest thing. They both deserve to win the award. I cannot pick one over the other. You got the old guy, Janai, who's been the best player on the best team pretty much all year. And you got the young, started his career as a 17-year-old freshman and Cooper Flagg, who's going to be the number 1 overall pick, I can't make the call. I just honestly, I think they both deserve it.
McCall.
For the last 4 weeks, I have been Janai Broome just because he's playing in such a better league than the ACC is this year. I have been pro Janai Broome. The last couple games, he hasn't gotten to double figures. They lose tonight. And to Tyler's point, the impact that Cooper Flagg has out there and how Duke utilizes him, I'm starting to lean the other way. I just think the most valuable player on that team and what he does and the balls in his hands and how they use him. He's not just this straight front court player. We got into this conversation earlier on Sirius XM2, just like, in terms of the NBA, like, does he come back? The other night in the game, they're chanting his name one more year. This is not a situation.
McCall, what are the odds that he comes back? 0.0.
He's not coming back.
0.001.
But my point is I think he is an 8-time, 9-time NBA All-Star. I think that is this is not Zion Williamson, in my opinion. It's not how this guy plays the game of basketball. Not with his ability to create off the bounce, not with his ability to shoot, not with his ability to set his teammates up, and his humility that he plays the game with. So no, I don't think he's coming back. But my point is this: I'm leaning towards him as my National Player of the Year candidate.
We have never seen a true freshman in college basketball lead their team in points, rebounds, blocks, assists, steals in every major statistical category, and that team make the NCAA tournament. Ben Simmons led his team in every category, and LSU missed the tournament. Cooper Flagg gets the slight edge over Janai Broome for the amount of touch points that he has on a game. Defensively, he's a menace. He can guard all 5 positions. It's not that Janai isn't a good defender, because I think he is. He was on the Naismith top 15 Defensive Player of the Year list. But I am going to give the slight edge to Cooper Flagg because of the sheer combination of size, contributions, and the guard skills that he has.
I also don't want to deal with the wrath of Janai again, because I had to deal with it last week when I sat down with him and Pettiford and Miles Kelly. And when I told him, and he knows I've kind of voted Cooper all year. He kind of gave me this look that, Tyler, I was a little worried, and I got to see him next week again at the SEC tournament. So I'm going to reserve the right here to change my mind. But as of today, I'm just going to play it down the middle.
Let's get rapid fire here before. Go ahead, Tyler.
I'll just say this. I think when Janai Flagg was out with his injury, Auburn continued to play at a high level. And this is pure speculation. I think if you take Cooper Flagg away from Duke, I don't think you have that result. But, they're both good players. But, I don't know if he's going to be an 8 or 9 NBA All-Star like McCall called it over there. But he has the potential. I see him kind of like an Andrew Karolinko type player who impacts the game in a lot of different ways, but he's a heck of a college player right now and doing a lot of things for Duke.
Instead of going game by game, Goodman, I'm going to put you to the test here. Kentucky got a 20-win season tonight. They broke 20 wins by rolling past LSU. Purdue dominated Rutgers 100-71. Fletcher Lawyer, Braden Smith, they scored 23 points apiece. Jeff, these teams are ranked in similar spots. Kind of interesting season arcs. Like Purdue struggled for a little while. Kentucky certainly has struggled in the recent weeks. Who do you trust more in the NCAA tournament if you had to bet with our partners at BetMGM? Purdue or Kentucky to make the second weekend?
It's not even close for me. Not even close. This isn't even like a question in my mind. It's Purdue. Clearly Purdue. They have the best point guard in the country. They have a good big in Trey Kaufman-Wren, obviously Braden Smith being the point guard. And when Fletcher Lawyer plays like this, they do have a big three. Now, again, he's the X factor. He's the key. You know, we've talked about some of their other guys, Cam Heide and Miles Colvin being the keys. Well, they haven't really done what we thought they'd do. So, you know, if those three guys do what they did tonight, Purdue can beat 95% of the teams out there. Kentucky, I just don't trust I don't trust Lamont Butler staying healthy. Matt Painter to me I trust him more than Mark Pope, especially in the NCAA tournament, coming off a national title game appearance a year ago. So give me Purdue all day, every day over Kentucky in the tournament.
McCall?
I don't ever agree with Jeff Goodman, but I'm going to agree with him on this side. I think the adversity too with the 4-game losing streak, from Purdue going through some adversity here, leading into. I mean, look, 3 weeks ago we're saying they're the best team in the Big Ten. That's what we were saying. The way that they were playing, the way they're competing, and then to go on this 4-game losing streak, adversity sometimes late in February is going to help catapult your team through March. I saw it firsthand in 2007 with that Florida Gator team. So, I have to give the nod towards the Boilermakers, 100%.
Meanwhile, BYU is up by 2 on Iowa State in double overtime. Now with a second left, they can try to ice this game. Dallin Hall at the line. He makes the first. BYU just won at Arizona. I mean, this team has now put together – you're talking about an Iowa State program that's been 33-1 at home over the last 2 years. The Cougars beat West Virginia. They beat Arizona State. They won at Arizona. They beat Kansas. They beat Kansas State. They beat West Virginia. This is now – it's long heave at the horn. This is now a BYU program that has won 7 in a row and just took down Iowa State 88-85. The Cyclones. That's the first win for BYU in Ames. And the Cyclones just dropped their second home game in the last 2 years. Only 2 home losses. Matt McCall, Kevin Young, and the BYU Cougars been hovering around that 8-9 line. They look far more dangerous than that.
Oof. Can you imagine if you're a 1 seed and they're an 8 seed and you see them in the second round of the NCAA tournament?
Oh, my God.
Can you imagine? Like, you're like, what kind of draw did we get in this field? We're a number 1 seed, and we have to play this dangerous team with how they play on the offensive end of the floor? I just – look, for them to be able to go in there in that environment, and Fanta, you just alluded to it, Iowa State doesn't lose at home. They never lose at home. This is a tribute to that team. This is a tribute to BYU. Like, credit to them. I mean, they're a way higher seed than an 8-9. I mean, even if they get up to a 6, that is not a team you want to see. They played tonight, especially like a second weekend team in the NCAA tournament.
Goodman.
Yeah, this win will definitely get them off that 8-9 line and could get them in position where they're, again, Mississippi State was on our 7 line. Certainly gets them on that 7 line with a win at Hilton. I mean, how many people? Not a lot of people win at Hilton. So,
No.
what I think Kevin Young has done here, right? Not having to rely on their talented freshmen. Igor Demon has been really good most of the year, but what's gone under the radar here is Richie Saunders and Dallin Hall. And what they've been able to do for this program is guys that he retained, right? He needed to retain a couple guys that have been in this program, that knew the culture, that knew, again, Mark Pope did a great job last year of really, shocking a lot of people with what they were able to do in the regular season in the Big 12. And to follow up on that, when it looked like, really, I mean, think about this. It looked like in mid to late January, they were going to be a team that wasn't going to be playing in the NCAA tournament. And now you're talking about a team that could be on the 6th line and a guy that, again, was a little risky of a hire. They don't have a huge pool at BYU. Remember, they got to go the Mormon route. So there's not a lot of guys they can hire. So what did they do? They plucked a guy that was in the NBA, that was close to getting a head job in the NBA. They convinced him to go to BYU. There's incredible support. Now you've got this momentum, and you're going to bring in the number 1 or 2 player in the country and A.J. DeMonson next year. This program is headed in the right direction. They got a ton of momentum, and Danny Ainge is celebrating right now somewhere.
Yeah, like think about it, Jeff. They could finish second in the Big 12. Like they could finish second. One game to play. They could finish second. I mean, like you just said, like this was a hire. You're kind of scratching your head. How's this going to work? Is he coming in? Now they got the number 1 player in the country coming in. They could finish second. I mean, that's amazing in year 1.
Yeah, I mean they're now 13-6 in the league, and they're going to host Utah this weekend, so they should be 14-6. This is a remarkable story, Tyler Hansbrough. The BYU Cougars, the transition to the Big 12 is not an easy one, and yet, after last year, they came on and they figured out a way in the tournament, but they lost to Duquesne in the first round. Now Coach Young looks like in his first year at the helm, I mean, he's got a top 20 team. He's got a team, Tyler Hansbrough, that's as hot as anybody in America right now. They've won 7 in a row.
Yeah, and they have an explosive team that teams have to take serious. They have guys that can come in. The Dylan Hall kid, they retained him. That was big. They have guys that can light it up. And also, you talked about the transfer to the Big 12. Well, also Houston did the same thing. So a couple of the schools that are new to the Big 12 are dominating it right now, and they're at the top of the Big 12. So it's very impressive. We had BYU on here last year. We interviewed Mark Pope after they won at Lawrence. So they're capable of big things.
Amazing. We got a minute. Let's toast quickly. Jeff.
I'm going to toast to Phil Martelli Jr. and Bryant College. The mids and the low major leagues are getting going here. Tonight was awesome, and it's only going to get better from here. But they won their first outright league title. Vermont has owned the league. Martelli took over in a mess from Jared Grasso a year and a half ago, and he's done an incredible job. So congrats.
McCall, a name or a player or a team. Go ahead.
Oof, man. You know what? I'm going to go Ryan Odom, VCU. You know what? That's an NCAA tournament team. They go on the road. They beat Duquesne. They got one A-10 game left this season. Everyone talks about the A-10's a one-bid league this year. I disagree. I think, VCU has proven they're a tournament team, even if they don't win the Atlantic 10 tournament. So VCU, Ryan Odom, Ed McLaughlin, the AD there. Congratulations.
Tyler, say somebody's name or a team. That's all you have time for.
Coach Cal.
Jaden Epps, Georgetown, thrilling win. That's it for After Dark. Afters are next.
We're live. It's the afters.
Hit the chat.
I'm not getting close to any bear.
My career high on the court is 28. It's the after
That was awesome.
Jeff,
That was awesome.
Jeff,
There's nothing better.
Jeff, as he said, Coach Cal, I did look. I'm like, okay, let me check the score. I'm like, 10-point game, 7.5 minutes. Let's see if the toast lives.
He's trying to jinx him. Tyler's trying to jinx Cal.
How well do you know Coach Cal, Tyler?
I don't know Coach Cal very well at all. No, I don't know. Probably don't want to meet him right now.
Probably not. Probably. I would like to see that meeting, though. I would pay to watch that meeting.
Tyler,
hey,
Jeff's
we'd love to
friends
have
with
him on the show anytime.
Oh, well, yeah.
Listen, I don't think he's going to come on, but it's not because of you.
All right, let's go to Columbus. This is just bonkers, Jeff. I mean, Bryce Williams scores 43. And for Fred Hoiberg, he's got to get on that plane and go home because his team lost 116 to 114 in double overtime at Ohio State. which means I think by default, Ohio State, Indiana Saturday is the Bubble Bowl. Like just call it what it is. That game is going to be the Bubble Bowl in the Big Ten Saturday at 3:45 from Assembly Hall. Jake Diebler finds a way. Somehow, some way, Bruce Thornton had 29. Micah Parrish had 22. Jeff, Ohio State, things haven't really gone according to plan, but they won this game tonight. We have them in our last 4 in.
Yeah, I mean, this was one they had to have. And like you said, they're probably going to need to win that one against Indiana to feel pretty good about themselves. And, Nebraska was an 11 in fielding the 68, and this was a brutal loss. For a Fred Hoiberg team that's kind of come out of nowhere to some degree. Not a lot of expectations this year. They lost the kid Mass before the season. They don't have a ton, but Bryce Williams has been really good this year. And Ohio State's underachieved. I mean, frankly, they have. But, tonight they got efforts from everybody. I mean, Bruce Thornton's one of those steady guys that you can rely on. Janai Mobley's one of the best shooters in the country. They got Micah Parrish at 22, Devin Royal at 22. Sean Stewart even had 13 points tonight. So this is one they had to have to stay in the equation. And it's as much about just survival at this point and hoping other teams lose. Not a lot of them lost tonight, though. A lot of the bubble teams, if you look at it, and we'll probably run through it here at the end, but most of the bubble teams lost tonight. So this was one that you kind of had to win just to survive.
McCall?
Yeah, I think, look, like for Ohio State and much like Indiana, and I know Indiana wasn't able to come out with a win, but it's a one-game season, and it's an NCAA tournament game. And that's how you have to treat it when you're on the bubble. You have to treat it in the sense of like, look, hey, if we don't win this game, our season's not over, but it's possibly over. Like, it's win and advance. Win and advance. Ohio State won the game. They found a way to beat Nebraska. Now they get to advance. Now it's on to Saturday against Indiana. Like, find a way to win the game, and you advance. If you lose when you're on the bubble, the only thing you can point back to is yourself. And if you don't get into the field, look, this is the field of 68. It's not the field of 76, to 74, or whatever it is. It's the field of 68. And if you don't make it into the field of 68 and you lose a game late in the season and you're on the bubble, you have to look yourself in the mirror and don't blame the committee for not getting in. Hey, man, we should have won. We lost. We lost late in the season. It's on to the next season.
But everybody does, Matt. That's the problem. Everybody
100%.
does.
Everybody
cry
blames
and complain when they don't get in, and it's like, don't even put yourself in the position to complain.
100%, Jeff. 100%. 100%.
Yeah. Ohio State.
Seth Greenberg. Don't be Seth Greenberg and bitch and complain every time when you don't get in, like he did when he was at Virginia Tech. No, it's true. Like it's the Seth Greenberg deal, and it's like, just get in. Just get in so you don't have to complain. Win these games. And I know it comes down to, like, I've always wanted to do this, McCall. I've always wanted at the end of the year, go back, all those bubble teams, the Final Four who got in, the Final Four who didn't. You could really make it come down to like 3 plays, not even games, 3 plays that would change the entire course of this season. Right? Tonight, I'm sure you could find a play, more than one, in that Ohio State-Nebraska game that would have changed it. Obviously, in the Texas game tonight, clearly there were multiple plays, one play that would have changed the outcome of that game. So the margin for error is so small for these teams on the bubble. And if you win those close games, you're not even complaining at the end, because the difference is 2-3 more wins.
It's the most points in a game for the Buckeyes, as per Matt Norlander, since January 8th of 95. I mean, my Lord, how did Nebraska lose this game on a night where Williams had 43? That is befuddling, to say the least. We've talked about a bunch of games. Arkansas is up 76-63 on Vandy with less than 5 to go. I tell you what, Tyler, I mean, that's a big one. That's a big one for your boy Cal.
It's not out of the realm of possibility that they might let this one slip still. This is where it gets a little tricky. But I'll say this.
Oil claps.
I'll say this. Arkansas, they have talent. They have guys. They've shown the ability to play good and be a tournament caliber team. They just haven't been consistent enough. And, the Nelly Davis, he hasn't really performed like, we thought he would at Arkansas. But they have guys. They just haven't had the season that they a lot of people thought. And also, I know the SEC is, they're going to have all their chances they want, but their preseason schedule or their pre-conference schedule was not difficult at all. It's they're going to have to be a team that looks at themselves too if they don't get into the tournament.
Yeah. They'll point back to that South Carolina game. Like, if you don't get in, you got blown out. You were down 30. It's like, Arkansas fans like, I can't believe we're on the bubble. We didn't get in. Don't be down 30 to the worst team in the league. Down 30.
There's our last four in and our first four out. Boise State, Nebraska. You got to think Nebraska losing that game, that affects their stock. Boise State, Commanded Air Force, just a 4-win team. Now they host a red-hot Colorado State team Friday. Huge game in the Mountain West on Friday night. Xavier is at Butler tomorrow. I believe they're like a 1-point favorite. I don't know. I'm a little bit perplexed.
It's going to be a wild week, Fanta. It's going to be such a wild week for the next 10 days or so, right?
Yeah, it's nuts. Because the bid stealers too. Like, the best part about this sport is that a year ago at this time, no one was talking about Kevin Keatts and no one was talking about Keith Dambrot. And then in the last week, we're just like, they became part of the story. In fact, the story. Keatts became the story. I mean, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to tell you right now. In the Big East tonight, Villanova loses to Georgetown in a game that they were up by 9 with 5.5 minutes left. They unravel. They've lost a combined 17-point lead to Georgetown in two games this year. They've lost 2 games by a combined 3 points, and Georgetown wins the game. So for Villanova now, they're pretty much, they would need Xavier to lose out to get the 5 seed. Xavier's got Butler and Providence. Like, let's be real here. They have Providence at home this weekend. Xavier's going to win at least one game. They need to win both for their bubble hopes. But for Villanova, Jeff, this is a gut punch of a loss because they had won 6 of 8. They have the wins over St. John's and Marquette and UConn. And tonight, I mean, this tonight was I called this game. They had this game in hand, and they could not close. Great win for Ed Cooley, don't get me wrong. But if you're Kyle Neptune and the Wildcats here, that's just a back-breaking defeat.
No, you can't lose this game. With everything on the line, you've climbed back into not right on the bubble, but close enough that if you finish strong and make a run in the Big East tournament, maybe you can get in the equation, and maybe if you're Kyle Neptune, you can save your job. And right now, it looks like both of those are gone, unless they win the Big East tournament. If they pull up Patrick Ewing and have a shocking, it wouldn't be as shocking because they have talent. That's the other part. Like, we saw this Villanova team a week or 2 weeks ago, whatever it was, beat Marquette and beat them handily. So this is a team with talent. They have an All-American type player in Eric Dixon. And there's no reason this team should be struggling like they have. And they've had money. They've had NIL for all 3 years. I think Kyle Neptune's a great human being, a great person, but he hasn't done a good enough job at Villanova. And if you go 0 for 3 in 3 years at Villanova and are unable to get to the NCAA tournament, then I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You don't deserve your.
Yeah. Meanwhile, McCall, Ed Cooley, and Georgetown have 8 league wins. They're at DePaul to close it out. They could end up going from 2 league wins and 4 the last 3 seasons combined to more than doubling that total after losing Thomas Sorber to a season-ending foot injury. And, you don't have Sorber and Eric Dixon's on the other side. They found a way to win this game. Get this, guys. It's the first time Georgetown has swept Villanova in the regular season since 1993.
Wow.
32 years.
Wow.
So for Coach McCall, do you think Ed Cooley here now is doing some things, making some strides heading towards year 3?
Yeah, it sure seems like it, right? And I think that part of Ed Cooley's problem is what's going on in Manhattan, in Queens for Coach Pitino, and how fast that St. John's has been flipped around. Because when Ed Cooley gets to Georgetown, we're thinking that this guy's going to flip it and they're going to be at the top of the Big East standings, in no time, in 1 year. And now it's St. John's. It's great for the Big East if this trend continues, and you could have Georgetown be really good, St. John's be really good, UConn obviously continues to be really good. So it's certainly trending in the right direction, but this is what we expected. Like when Ed Cooley was hired there, we didn't think this thing would take long. And maybe that our expectations were, a little bit too high. And then just because of what Pitino's doing at St. John's, we're scratching our heads saying, what's wrong with Georgetown? While he's quietly winning games. He's quietly winning games, and he's got the program going where all of us expected it to.
Dagan, questions, my friend.
All right, so I'm still waiting on some questions in the chat. So this is something we talked about, obviously, pre-show. And obviously the fans don't see pre-show what goes on around here. But Goodman changed his spot where he did this show from 3 times, just to let everybody in on the know. And he decided that he was going to put us in front of all the food that he has in his house. So, Goodman, I want you to go back there and I want you to pick out the 3 best things you got on the counter and just show them off to us, like a little show.
Please.
So first of all, it was my wife who did the shopping today. All right, we just got into this place. We're renting for a while. Well, the place we bought we're having some work done for a while. So we're in this place in Charleston, and she came home with some stuff. Now the TV, there's only one TV. I got to get another one set up, but there's only one in front of me, so I had to switch last minute. All right. Got some,
A little show and tell with Jeff Goodman.
Chex Mix. Some bananas, it looks like. We got some peanut butter going on over there. What's the husky thing?
God.
What's the husky?
Is there a husky
trash
thing
bags.
there?
Trash
Trash
bags,
bags.
the husky Lucky Charms.
okay.
I haven't seen a box of those in years.
By the way,
Oh my!
this is
gosh.
the only thing I hate on the earth that I won't eat is peanut butter. I hate peanut butter. Hate it.
We should have cut it
Won't
off
eat.
at this is the only thing I hate because we could have been like, well, Vegas. We could have been like, there's a bunch of other things. But
Bananas, which I won't have. My wife will have the bananas. They're too
You
healthy.
just pick all the stuff you won't eat. Like,
And then I will have the Chex Mix stuff. I like Chex Mix.
what kind of Chex Mix is that?
What flavor of Chex Mix is that?
Turtle Chex Mix. Really good. Really good. Like elite level Chex Mix.
Tyler, what snacks? Like Tyler, do you go grocery shopping? What do you like to get at the grocery store?
I'm a big snack guy. Swiss rolls, Little Debbie Swiss rolls, and
Rolls.
Wow.
don't sleep on Swiss rolls. It's a big time snack. And Fancy, you know what I like to do with my Swiss rolls? I like to take them and put them in the freezer. And so I grab the whole box when I'm going to sit down and watch some games or whatever. I put them right beside me, and I start downing them. And when you get the chocolate on your shirt, the chocolate is frozen from being in the freezer, so you can pick it up and eat the chocolate. That way it doesn't make a mark or a stain on your shirt because it's frozen. And then once I down the Swiss rolls, I'll go for the Skinny Pop, just regular popcorn. I'll get after that. And then I'll drink a Perrier and settle my stomach.
Oh my gosh!
Frozen Swiss roll.
Such a unique combination of
The
food.
guy doesn't like sandwiches, but he'll eat a frozen Swiss roll and a bag of Skinny Pop. That's amazing.
You are so methodical with everything you do. You're so methodical. What if somebody what
Wash
if
it down
Swiss
with a Perrier.
roll wasn't completely
That's
frozen?
amazing.
What if the freezer wasn't working and you went in and you grab your Swiss roll and it's not frozen, would you eat it or not?
Absolutely. There's no wrong way to eat a Swiss roll. But the problem is you're going to get a stain on your shirt. That's why you freeze it. You have a small amount of time where that chocolate will melt on your shirt if it's not frozen, especially in the summer here in North Carolina. You're about to experience this in Charleston. It'll get you.
It'll
Someone
melt.
wants to know in the chat. Hold on.
I'm going to
In
freeze
the chat, someone wants to know Swiss rolls or oatmeal cream pies.
The value size oatmeal cream pies, not the little ones. I'm talking about the family size, the double deckers. I'll go with those. Yes, I'll take the oatmeal cream
All right,
pies.
so wait a minute though. I like Hostess Ho-Hos more than I like the Little Debbie.
Of course you
I don't
like
like the
ho-hos. Jesus, what is this with ho-hos?
It's a freaking. Are you kidding me? It's a different type of Swiss roll. You did not just say that. Oh my gosh. I like the Hostess Swiss rolls, which are nicknamed Ho-Hos. I am a married man. I have a ring on my finger and a child on the way, and I would like to.
Can we steer this back to basketball, please? Can we steer this back to basketball, please? Can we steer this back?
We're way past. We are way past.
It was all Dagan's fault when he made me go
Listen,
back there.
I'm just reading the chat, giving the people what they want. You know, that's all. That's all I'm doing.
Oh, go ahead.
All right, Anderson wants to know. We've done this a lot, but it's a different group of people. Give me a Cinderella team this year. We can make a run.
Oof.
It's a good question.
You know what? I can't believe that I didn't do this too on my toast of the night. How about Richard Pitino, the Lobos? They win the league tonight. They clinched the regular season. You know, to see what his team lost last year and to win the Mountain West, you know, again this year. I mean, that team is dangerous in how they play. I mean, look, man, shout out to Coach Pitino, the young Coach Pitino. We talk so much about the old Coach Pitino, the young Coach Pitino out in the desert. Give me the Lobos as a Cinderella.
I am going to go with a team out of the SoCon. And I think that the Chattanooga Mocs could pull off an upset in the NCAA tournament. There it is. Oh, boy, here we go. Here it comes. There they are on the ball. You know, I think that Coach Dan Earl's done a very nice job there. And if you look at them, they can do they could really score the ball. They've got a balanced offense. They could shoot the basketball from three. They got multiple guys that are shooting over 40% from three. One would be Honor Huff, Jeff, who you know. You know, this is a kid. He's a junior. He's a New York guard. He averages 15 per game, but they got 4 averaging in double figures. I like the kid Frank Champion. It's a kid who's shooting 46% from three on the year. They even get some shooting from time to time from Garrison Kiesler. This is a guy who can come in and knock down some shots for them. Don't sleep on Bash Wheeland. Here's what I look at with the Cinderella. I look at, do you have just one kid, or do you have 3 or 4 guys who can actually make a defense pay? Can you space the floor? Can you knock down some threes? If you look at Chattanooga and the way that they play offense, they're a dangerous 13-14 seed that could wear the slipper. That's a 53. They're ranked 53rd in KenPom offense. So put a slipper on the Mocs, and by Cinderella, I mean 13, 14, 15 seed that could win a game and have a shot in a second game. Why not Chattanooga? Go ahead, Jeff.
I mean, I'm going with the fighting Pat Scaries here. How can you not? They just won a really good CAA, and they won it not going away, but they only lost one game, and it was at Charleston. And the big knock on them earlier in the season was they couldn't shoot the ball, and that's been much better the second half of the year. They're still tough as shit, and they've got some really, really good players on this team. Tyler Tejada could be, listen, I don't want to put that on him, but he's going to make a lot of money playing this game. Christian May's been really good. They got some players. They got some players on this team. And to me, again, I wouldn't want to see them in the first round.
No. I wouldn't want to see the winner of the Sun Belt tournament either. That league looks like it's got a couple of teams in it between South Alabama, James Madison, Arkansas. I mean, there were 4 teams that tied at 13-5 in that league. Tyler, do you have a Cinderella slipper team that you kind of like?
This isn't really Cinderella. I'm going to go VCU, Ryan Odom. I think they're playing well. They have some good quality wins. They're a team that could get hot. But the next team, I want to throw Missouri out there. I just think that Missouri really hasn't gotten the credit that they deserve. Mark Mitchell, they have size. They have guys. The Bates kid can get hot. They've had some wins, and I just feel like they haven't got the credit that they deserve throughout the season for a lot of things that they've done. And I think Missouri could be a team that could kind of sneak into the tournament, win a few games, and kind of surprise some people.
Well, they could sneak. Here's so like they're going to be firmly in, but you know what it is, Tyler? By brand name, some people might be surprised to see them in the second weekend, and they shouldn't be. We won't be. None of us 4 would be. Like McCall, Coach Gates has done a phenomenal job with the Missouri Tigers. They're in the midst of a great SEC. They're right there. You're muted, Coach.
Uh-oh.
Oh, we've lost Coach McCall.
We lost McCall.
We'll get you back, Coach. Dagan, next question.
Well, we're gonna skip the questions, and I'm gonna take you guys to our last game of the night. We've been waiting for it to end. Arkansas Vandy finally goes final. Razorbacks get the win.
Yeah, it's big. I mean, look, this is a game that frankly, you would have said Vanderbilt at home, late night. Maybe this is a tough spot for Arkansas. I just think, like, Jeff, whenever Arkansas has won these big games, their offense has been humming. Tonight they scored 90 points. DJ Wagner hit a couple of big shots in the second half. Nelly Davis had 21. Trayvon Brazile. How about this, Jeff? Brazile had 16 and 14. He played with aggression tonight, man.
That's the best game he's played under John Calipari, and it's not even close. And I think, part of the thing is you're without Boogie Fland and Adu Thero, so you're only playing 7 guys. They know they're all getting time. They know they're not getting pulled no matter what happens. The only way they're getting pulled is if they foul out. So they got to avoid foul trouble, but even the freshmen were good. Kevin Knox and Carter Knox and Billy Richmond III, they were both solid tonight. So Big Z was good. Everybody produced tonight. And let's face it, if you go through those 2 lineups, the top 7 guys, Arkansas, and you put them against Vandy, Arkansas is more talented at every single spot. And the key all year I've said is what? Nelly Davis, Nelly Davis, Nelly Davis. He's finally back to the Nelly Davis that he was for the last couple of years in terms of like, give me the damn ball and get the hell out of the way. I'm going to go get a bucket. And that's what he is. He's a bucket getter. And again, you don't stick a guy like that in the corner like Cal did for the first half of the year.
Tyler, any thoughts on Arkansas? It feels like some of these injuries, and even though they're a bit shorthanded, like there's guys not looking over their shoulder. Nelly's been a different player since Boogie Fland was out for the year. And it's a team that DJ Wagner's gotten better, Tyler. Like Cal comes in, a lot of pressure. It's been they were coming off a really bad, rough day against South Carolina. They had to bounce back, and they did.
What Arkansas needs to do is they need to find a way to play like they did Rupp. I don't know how they can replicate that, but what we saw when they went to Kentucky and the way they played, that is not only a tournament team, that is a team that can make a run in the tournament. So it's not, do they have it? They have it. They have the talent. They have the guys. Can they all fit together and play on the same team and be productive? And the other thing with Arkansas is they've kept games close and they've let things just slip at the end. They've got to find ways to close games out and not have mistakes in crunch time and find ways to get buckets. But defense too, they've got to play defensively and bring it. Defense has kind of been their backbone. If they play defense, they're going to have a good night. But they have guys that can score, and I'm with Jeff on this one. Nelly Davis, give him the ball. Let him get a bucket whenever you guys need one.
Coach.
I agree. I'm with you guys in terms of Nelly Davis, too. I mean, we saw how Dusty May utilized him at FAU. I mean, the ball was in his hands to create. And you look at that team last year from FAU, there were some guys that were struggling with the expectations. I mean, Elijah Martin, struggled with the expectations. And you look at what he's doing now at Florida. Nelly Davis didn't struggle with the expectations coming off the Final Four. And the way he played, and we were down there. We saw it. We saw it firsthand on the field of 68 down in Boca Raton. To see him back to his true form, this was, to me, was more of a game like, okay, is Arkansas going to be for real? Because if they had just quit after that game against South Carolina, like credit Cal and his coaching staff for getting that team back focused to be able to win that game against Vanderbilt today. Because to be down 30 points to South Carolina and now your back's completely against the wall, his team could have quit. And they didn't do that.
Well said.
And Nelly Davis is a huge part of that.
It's true. They could have quit. They could have given up. They didn't. And now they are going to host Mississippi State on Saturday. And if you want to punch a ticket, I mean, the Bulldogs may be in a tough way, but you capitalize at home and you show why you belong in. I kind of want like Jeff's reaction to this question because this question comes from Rob. I don't even know what to say to this. It's the last thing I'm going to say. Rob said for me to ask Tyler what his superstitions are before eating a Swiss roll.
Rob, I have no superstitions.
Fanta,
Just give me
Fanta
the
and
damn
I-
Swiss roll.
Actually,
Rob,
Fanta
let
and
me
I had a
ask the
question
questions, Rob.
for you that we came up with before the show, didn't we, Fanta?
Yes,
What-
we do. Yeah. Go ahead.
All right, here's the question, Tyler. You have to pick one person as your roommate. It's John Shire or Rob Doster. Who are you picking?
I'm going John Shire. I'm going to have to go with John Shire.
I don't blame you.
Rob pays you to do these shows, and you just picked.
Like, imagine how bad that's got to be that you chose the Dookie, the guy you hate. You hate them more than anything on this planet, and you chose John Shire over Rob Doster. It's amazing. I agree with you, though.
They're not paying me to live with Rob. I'm paying. You know what? That's a different story. I mean, there's not an amount of money that they could bring to me to make me live with Doster. It ain't gonna happen. So, yeah, easy decision. Jeff
Close
could be my
to
neighbor.
Goodman, not with him. I think you would be okay living in the same house. You know, if you were at the upstairs, McCall had the downstairs, you'd be fine there. I don't think you're like against that. You just can't. I think McCall would pick Shire too. I'm about 95% positive. The problem is with Rob, like it would probably be just constant hoops chatter. It would just be like it just.
How many times would he say Kim Pom? How many times would he say Kim Pom in the house? Like Kim Pom. Metrics, Kim Pom. According to Kim Pom.
Yeah. All right. It's gonna do it for us. We're gonna hit the hay. Goodman, great to have you. McCall. Goodman's hitting the grocery store. McCall, great
I'll
stuff.
say this. If you guys want to give me the worst punishment you can give me, make me eat Skippy peanut butter. That would do it.
I don't understand. Skippy peanut butter too? That's what
Any
we're going
peanut
with?
butter.
Of all
Any
the peanut butter? We're not going Jiffy.
No,
we're going
any
Skippy.
peanut I don't know.
The
I don't know
heck is
good
wrong
peanut
with
butter
Goodman?
from bad peanut butter.
I'm not a big peanut butter guy myself.
See, there you go.
Tyler.
Anna knows.
Sleep well. Enjoy your frozen Swiss rolls. And Jeff and McCall and Dagan Hughes and Trevor Valise and for myself, John Fanta, thanks for tuning in, everyone. We're back with you at 11 o'clock tomorrow night. All I can say is this. This is a roller coaster ride. Every single night is going to be like this going forward. And at the Field of 68, we literally have you covered 24 hours a day with content on this ride through March. So buckle up. We'll see you back here in about 22 hours. And get ready, folks, because we have only just begun with the madness. Good night.